Well, it's time to put the concrete around this yard hydrant. We're going to use a 60-pound bag of quick concrete. Most people use it for putting posts in. And the best place to mix concrete up is a wheelbarrow and a hoe. You can mix it in a bucket, but you have a danger of getting powder in the bottom of the bucket. So you would normally put a little water in the bottom of the bucket that you're going to use, and then put the concrete in it and try to mix it up. But it's a lot easier in the wheelbarrow, and that's 60 pounds. It takes a half a gallon of water, 128 ounces. That's a liter bottle. That's 67 ounces, I think, so that's about a half. And the problem with concrete, I have one bag. If I get it too wet, I'm in trouble. I'd have to go get another bag. So you would put the concrete in the wheelbarrow, and you would not use all of that water. You would probably use down to about here to start with, and then add to it until you get the right consistency. And the right consistency is when you can take this hoe and pat the top and get a liquid, smooth liquid on the top. So anyway, this is a box that that bag will, two of those bags will do 2 square feet, 4-inch slab. Well, I'm going to do it with one bag, so I did a little math, and it's a 16-foot opening, 16-inch opening, and that will give me a 3-inch slab, and that's a 2x4s. And so there's 2 19-inch long ones and 2 16s, which will equal a 16-inch square. Then you have to get it in the ground, and you see I have a few little garden tools to just level this out. And then after you level it out and get it in, you need to put soft stuff around the edges and pack it down, because concrete would go under it. And the weight of the concrete is going to be 64 pounds. And then you would put some around the sides, and you would tamp it in with a 2x4 so that this isn't going anywhere when you put that concrete on it, and none will weep out underneath it. Now you just mix it up and put it in. Now, I had to dig down a little bit there because you can see where the grade level is, and I used this long level to see where it was. And it will take a little bit to build this up. Now this always had a little trench around it, but I can bring soil to this and square it up with the soil. And I plan on that salt treated lumber, and I'm going to leave it on the box after it's finished. The easiest way to dump a concrete in your wheelbarrow is have that in there and cut that open, and I will also cut down each side, so when I lift the top up, it all just falls out. And I don't have to lift up 60 pounds and flip it over. And that's the consistency you'll have once you've used about 2/3 of the water. So you get a good blend is what you're after. And you got to dig down those corners. Now I put the water around the edge so it would go down underneath it. And see, by that liter bottle, I've used maybe 2/3. I've used almost a liter bottle, and 2-liter bottle, I think they are. And see, it's not wet enough to even bond together, but it's totally mixed. And you really have to get down in the bottom to make sure you're not leaving any powder. But it's going to take probably more water than half a gallon. Used all my bottle of water, and I've added some more to the bottle. And see, when you do this, you don't get any fluid on the top that's sort of creamy. And you should, so I'm going to add water to it 4 ounces at a time. Now, I've used probably half of that water. That's how critical it is. It's not a lot of ounces. You have to mix this thoroughly, and you have to scoop down there and bring it up to the top, push the stuff down the bottom. And then when you pat it, see how that little bit of liquid, milky looking substance sits on top? And now it's ready to go in that hole. Tools to work with concrete, I've used this before. This is what you put an edge on a set of steps for, or if you've got eroded away steps, you can put concrete down there, tamp it in, and bring this down the front edge of your step and make a bull nose on it. I'm going to let my bride show me down there on my hands and knees. I can transfer the camera. And she can move around to the right a little bit. You don't need any fancy tools. Here's a 4x4 block of wood. And what I'm doing is I brought all this out to the corners. And you want to just make sure that it's set in the corners. And I have a little bit of light area right in this edge. And if you wanted to, you could just sort of take some over there with that piece of wood so that you got the same height around the edge. And I'm going to put that there. And all you have to do is just keep tamping this down until it's all smooth and you got cream all over the top is what I call it. Not to make this too long, but I think you get the drift. This will be a rough top. And since I'm going to leave the wood around it, and I got a real good seal around the pipe, and after a little bit, once it sets up for 30 or 40 minutes, I will put a date in it somewhere. And that's basically it. Well, it's been about 45 minutes to an hour. You can see where it's starting to dry out and set up. A little tip. If you have a real hot day and it's really windy and it's 90-some degrees, you might have to mist this so that it doesn't dry out too quick on the top, which will lead to cracking. Another tip, we had concrete in this thing, and if you just hose it out, it comes off really easy. Hose it off your tools, it's really easy. If you let it dry, it's really more difficult to get it off. And I mean, you can just spray this hose with that turned up on its end, and 20 seconds it's clean. And it's alkaline, so you might want to watch where you do it in case you have plants around there that like acid soil.